This. This is the Nintendo just hit the panic button over Palworld, and I'm going to react to this. I'm not usually too much of a reactor, but I do think this is some pretty big subject. And it's kind of going viral right now on YouTube, and I'm not sure if people care about my opinions on this at all or not, but I'm a little bit intrigued on it. Because if you guys don't know the rough idea, Palworld was the game. Like, I'm sure they'll probably show up some gameplay over here in a second regardless. And it was like kind of like Pokemon, but not really, but kind of. And like, this definitely looks like a Pokemon character, but not really, but kind of. So anyway, like, there is a lot of lawsuits going on. Like, so I think some of them, from my knowledge, I'll probably learn more. Like, they have like a Pokeball, and they're like, they have a very like a similar capture system or like throwing system or something. So it's like a weird convolutionness of Pokemon, and I think they somehow won some of these things. And then Palworld has had changed their things so far. But there's also a few people that are very anti-Nintendo, funny enough, that are like, hey, like Nintendo is very money hungry, very money grubbing. Like, think about the people who really did not like that the Switch went up to such an expensive price, and they were potentially going even higher due to potential tariffs. Like, there's like a lot of people that are actually kind of against Nintendo, or they're making the same game, like they lost their magic. Like, there are haters on it too as well, and especially on like DMCA copyright issues. Many people have critiqued Nintendo a lot, and they really think like it's a bad thing. I would agree. Like, they're not really with the times, and even for YouTube, it took a very long time for them to even have like gameplay on YouTube, because they would used to go and copyright strike music in every game, and every content creator's like, bro, like, you're missing out on free marketing. And they eventually kind of got with the program, but it took a very long time. So Nintendo's not the most up to date. So let's go and see what they have to say over here with this update in this Palworld big lawsuit.
Ever since their mega $1 million franchise launched last year. Palworld, as you know, took the world by storm. It evolved many concepts.
It was a good game.
Nintendo, frankly, was just uninterested.
Will I ever want to play it again? Maybe, but
Pokemon was making them boatloads of money either way. But
you
once
stopped playing Pokemon when you started throwing dust bags and stuff.
It broke over 1 million players on Steam concurrently alone.
I still play Pokemon. I can't say anything. I'm horrible.
That Palworld was infringing on their copyright patents.
It was pretty close,
Since
dude.
Then,
you gotta admit.
Palworld has had to remove many elements of their games.
It was pretty close.
Lawsuit, for an example. Pals are no longer able to come out of balls because Nintendo says it's too similar to their Pokeball mechanic. You also can't fly on your pals anymore because, according to Nintendo, it's too similar to how
that one I always thought was really stupid. I can understand the balls,
that
but
one is kind of
not the flying.
Especially because I have no idea how you can claim that you own the right to mount traversal in a video game.
That makes no sense to me.
There's been
I agree on that.
And it looks like, if these are to be believed, that in terms of who's winning this lawsuit, it looks actually to favor Palworld and not Nintendo.
I'm actually surprised.
I'll get into some general Nintendo news I want to talk about as well.
The game was kind of pretty different. I mean, like, I can see who it's similar, but
out immensely. Thank you, but now let's get into it. Firstly, this is from Dexerto.com. Nintendo makes bizarre change to Palworld lawsuit. So, like I said, this is all about
WoW for their flying mounts. Exactly. What the heck?
Cannot be used based on what Nintendo feels is right. But now they're apparently going behind the backs of everyone.
Dude, look at that sawmill. That was like 3 frames.
Terminology admits this.
Thank God the Switch 2 came out.
The specific patent changed was the one in regards to switching between ground to flying mounts by riding your pals. Nintendo has updated their terminology on this patent, which reads as follows, and it's a word salad, but it reads, and even when emphasis added, any boarding character other than the aerial boarding character capable of moving in the air is the currently selected boarding character. And a first operation input is given when the player character is in the air. The computer causes the aerial boarding character to appear.
This is the most convoluted description of something I've ever seen in my entire life.
To board the aerial boarding character instead of the currently selected boarding character from among the boarding characters. Yeah, like I said,
bro, what did he even say?
Basically, Nintendo is adding words like even when to their patent's terminology, which is only being done to muddy up and confuse exactly what is allowed according to their patents based on what YouTubers like Legal Mindset has said in the past. Which is this man on screen here, in case you don't know, who is, yes, also an actual
This interviews with my Troy update on the rage. Oh, I'd be mad too. I think there's something going on with that, I think.
Done by a rival company during a lawsuit for a single reason, which is because they are losing and are not getting the intended outcome they thought was going to happen.
I would actually play agree in that.
Suing another company. This sort of word salad whataboutism changes are meant to confuse you on purpose.
I was confused, and I'm just saying that.
kind of dodgy as well in order for Nintendo to have more leeway and ability to change how things are done or said in terms of the legal process. This way, if Nintendo's lawyers come up with a gotcha of some kind, Nintendo can go, see, actually, we did say that in the
I
patent.
still can't believe this actually was a Pokemon game where you literally just rode your, like, lizard dragon.
Right as well. So what's the end goal here, you may be asking? In Legal Mindset's opinion, Nintendo wants to win this lawsuit for two reasons.
I remember I specifically had an argument with my, not argument, like a fun argument, with one of my ex-girlfriends because we weren't sure which ones we both want to get because we're both going to play the game.
And this is why this is so important that Pocket Pair wins, is that if Nintendo
because one was really cool and one was really lame.
in their details, that they want and demand the removal of Palworld from all digital storefronts and to be paid for the damages caused by
I really do want to play the Troy update for Palworld.
Their brand and image of Pokemon and Nintendo as a company. Yeah, it's pretty crazy that this isn't just a money thing. Nintendo genuinely wants to erase Palworld from existence.
They have like an ego, dude.
Is real, guys. However, according to Pocket Pair and Legal Mindset, Palworld is not infringing on any of Nintendo's patents because they cannot claim to own a game mechanic.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that mostly.
Obviously, as the patent image shows here, the concept of capturing
Palworld's fun. I liked Palworld for like the 1 week I played it.
We all know the ties to Pokemon, but it's not just really Pokemon.
Like, I think they earned their money. Like they was fun. It was gimmicky, but it was like decently for like friends too.
Monster Hunter Stories. Technically, just Monster Hunter in general allows you to capture monsters, although with nets and stuff. And then you also have games like Yokai Watch. I think it's Yokai Watch. Anyway,
New phone with this hello ballpoint. Hi.
Hell, even Dragon Quest allows you to capture monsters too.
We're watching a random video. Sorry.
Shin Megami Tensei, which, in case you don't know, was a big inspiration and was actually a series about.
I still want to play Persona 3 and 4. If I ever like become retired, dude, I want to play like Persona 3 and 4.
Yes, the Shin Megami Tensei series, which includes Persona.
I guess in theory, as a streamer, I can literally stream it, but who on earth would ever watch me go and play those games?
SMT, with its monster collecting infusing gameplay, predates.
Do you miss me playing games? I kind of miss playing games a little bit.
If you want exact numbers,
I'm a little bit of a just yapper for a while.
First had a game in 1987, and the first Pokemon game was released in 1996. So almost 10 years after, yet you don't see Shin Megami Tensei or Atlas suing Pokemon for using monster capturing mechanics or more. The reason behind this is very simple, because they don't own the patents, and you cannot own the patents to gameplay mechanics like this because they're used everywhere. It would be like trying to trademark the concept of jumping or shooting in a video game. Yeah,
I do kind of agree though.
That way. So, for Nintendo to do this to Palworld is hypocritical and proves just how bloodthirsty Nintendo really is when it comes to
Nintendo is like the devil of video games.
Especially in the eyes of what they perceive to be their
I like their games though. I mean, like I like Mario, like he's my boy. Although he did go and get like friend zoned by Princess Peach, and I'm actually kind of upset about that.
And that's just not right. So
that makes me never want to buy a Mario game ever again, knowing that Mario got friend zoned, bro. Like what the hell?
Because nothing would make me happier than to see a tyrant as big as Nintendo with their corporate iron fist being crushed by the little guys and being exposed.
You know, I actually would like if Palworld would win to kind of humble Nintendo a little bit.
Gamers Fray article, which I referenced earlier, they
the
say
toxic Mario's going to be. I wanted him to go be dating Princess Peach. I thought they were a thing.
At Palworld specifically, hoping that
how do you friend zone Mario, man?
Apparently, this is done because launching just a single version can be.
These are the craziest claims I've ever seen in my entire life.
Got nothing. But if you got multiple slightly altered versions of a similar patent in your possession, you can.
Oh, you think that Palworld needs to win me, or else that Nintendo can start patenting other games? That's actually a good point, actually.
And eventually,
this actually is like somewhat standing up for future games as well.
Is this scummy and annoying?
That actually would make sense. Actually, shout out to Palworld for that. Then
absolutely. Nintendo is, of course,
because I've kind of been sassing Nintendo just for kind of being like the big boys, but like no, that actually would make a lot more sense of why this is a bigger deal.
Using their billions to simply outlast their opponents until they cannot financially continue their defense against Nintendo's claims and will just have to submit instead. Yes, this is a real tactic that is allowed. Think of it like
so let's hope that Palworld makes like a bunch of money, dude. save the gaming world.
Surrounds the castle, and in doing so, that castle being sieged cannot get supplies from the outside. It's really only a matter
I picked the cat for that one, the grass cat, and I regret it the entire time.
Starve to death, turn on one another in desperation, or plead for defeat to escape their situation. And Nintendo is that fact.
This was a good game, but I also kind of hate it at the same time.
While eating grapes, while watching their enemies drop in weight.
It's the worst mod. It was bad.
Single time they sue someone.
Let's play Palworld wins for the entire gaming space. Yes.
Based on Nintendo's patents and what they're pushing, they don't have a strong.
This actually was kind of a bad Pokemon game on the low. It just never. It didn't hold my attention.
Not Japan. So in America, for example, Nintendo's lawsuits do not hold as much water. And this is where it could possibly end Nintendo's lawsuit and have them lose to Palworld, which would be a big win for everyone who isn't Nintendo. Because these lawsuits are not just relegated to one country because of the nature of video games and how they're sold, which is obviously global, but all of them. So, sure, Nintendo could,
I wish Alice would join this lawsuit. It probably would help, I feel like.
Pair within Japan.
Hey, what's going on, Wolf, my dude? What up,
the
what up,
majority of Palworld's player base, if you don't know, is not within Japan, but mostly in America and beyond. For example, in many articles
I am a lot of videos
released, their devs have said the sole reason why they added guns to the game in the first place was to appease to North American audiences. Claiming
the guns were kind of fun in this game.
They sold
it did make it better.
Copies in America alone, so yeah, they're kind of right.
And that was probably the marketing catch for me when I saw the game.
Partially in Japan, but they lose just that crazy everywhere else. Then it's a massive win still for Palworld, because their actual player base is not really Japan anyway. So if Nintendo's patents work for Palworld in Japan, it could also lead to different versions of the game existing. Where in Japan, if you play Palworld, it has no balls to throw or pals to ride, I guess, but then outside of Japan, the game's philosophy and design would remain unchanged. That would piss off Nintendo a lot, and honestly, I hope that it does. And as a Screen Rant article, which is this one here, don't worry about the boycott stuff that they're saying. That's not really a thing. Because it's just
that they think of Americans is just, oh my god, he has guns in there, right? I did think the guns made the game more fun.
But what's really important here is what Screen Rant says in this section.
So it seems like all of you guys in chat are actually against Nintendo for this one, which is surprising. That's kind of my mindset too, but there's always like those Nintendo like lovers.
America and Japan, which is kind of crazy if you ask me, especially because this would lead to
I love that they're like getting like
things are just
people actually anti-Nintendo
market manipulation, and I'm surprised that's even allowed. As one user said in the article, how is Nintendo allowed to hold onto patents for things for so long even when they're not using them? The answer,
I'm actually not sure who
this article is obvious. It's because
Palworld is backed by. I don't think it's Sony though. I don't think so, but I could be wrong.
Nintendo has gone after so many others in the past for lesser reasons too. They simply do not want any competition when it comes to what they make at all. Because if Palworld were to evolve,
they banned a Switch 2 for someone buying a used game. I've seen some crazy people getting banned on Switches, or like their consoles being like
pressure Nintendo to
like broken because they try to hack into it.
Also delegitimize.
You don't know a single game dev person that is on the Nintendo side. That's surprising. That's good. I can see why, especially on the dev side.
Because as seen here from IGN, the Switch 2 was the fastest selling console in history there, and yeah, for good reason. Because Nintendo smartfully
I still haven't even played with my Nintendo Switch 2, Jeff.
Can be played, which is obviously
do you have any idea how sad I am? I have the Switch 2. I haven't even used it yet.
The idea is that Nintendo wants to make their
maybe next week we can finally bust it open.
Synonymous with their franchises that they own, that you have no choice legally anyway, but to buy a Switch 2
that makes me so
play
sad.
Your games. But when a smaller
that's how you guys know I'm actually like in pain. I'm not like even like really gaming
best-selling
or doing anything.
Half the price and sells over 10 million units in a single year. Yeah, they're gonna want to bury it at the bottom of the sea forever. It's really just jealousy and greed on Nintendo's part. But it is good to know that they're currently, anyways, not winning their lawsuit, especially out here. That's good.
This is good.
Because if they were to lose, Palworld would genuinely become unstoppable. Since Nintendo doesn't really cater to PlayStation, Xbox, or Steam players, this then leaves hundreds of millions of potential customers that are eager and ready to buy and play something like Pokemon that isn't Pokemon, since Nintendo will never release their games on any other platform. But if Palworld is able to grow without any real resistance on the backs of every major platform in opposition of Nintendo, yeah, that's a big problem for them. But I honestly hope that's exactly what happens, because Nintendo is.
That would be a deep scheme, dude.
As Gamers Frey says here in their article, Nintendo has put themselves in a bad spot with this Palworld lawsuit.
I'm investing the entire time.
Now, if they rewrite every patent and resubmit, technically, it would only be a single patent being viable for the lawsuit instead of the many before, which would severely lessen their chances of winning what is already a case crumbling apart in their hands as time goes on.
They just keep on like showing the stupid dragon.
Does state that Nintendo back in February 2025.
This really was the stupid mount. It didn't look cool at all.
Which wasn't really discovered because it wasn't finalized until very recently. Its patent number is 1222068, which is this one.
You hope that Palworld creates an expansion called Yoto Region.
It's an updated patent about Nintendo's right to owning the concept of capturing monsters within video games. And as you're seeing, they're using a lot of terminology and just paragraph after paragraph of information to detail exactly what they want to own and control when it comes to these patents. As you can see, I'm just scrolling and look at how long this patent is just to explain that they own the concept of capturing things with a ball.
Jesus.
Why is the patent so long? It's because of what I detailed before. They add a bunch of useless jargon to tire their opposition out and make the patent as nebulous as possible while still having just enough to make the patent legal for submission.
That is
It's
the most.
all being done
That's
so
horrible.
Nintendo can destroy their opposition through smoke and
Isn't that them just like trying to also waste lawyer money? So have to spend more time reviewing like just random stuff.
To refresh your memory in case you haven't seen my other
Nintendo does seem really bad.
Another big reason why these patents are finalized and pushed is because in Japan anyways, they use these patents to not only control the concepts, but license out the ideas to other companies to make money by allowing them to use these ideas in their games as well. This is likely why games like Monster Hunter Stories or more haven't been sued by Nintendo because they probably paid for the rights to use the things. Sure, Palworld could, in theory, try to pay Nintendo for the right to use the
they would never do now at this point, though.
More in the future. But it's very obvious now that Nintendo doesn't really want to even entertain this idea because they frankly just want Palworld to die and just be erased for even attempting to challenge their dominance for the #1 spot when it comes to monster capturing games. As Screen Rant said recently in an article, they're chosen a clear side as to who they
Funny enough, if Nintendo did not sue them, they would not have as much attention as well. Like, it was still popular nonetheless, but like this is kind of keeping it relevant even longer.
As well. As Screen Rant says here, when Nintendo was done with these patent changes and adding gobbledygook wording like even when, they are clearly desperate and are looking for the much needed win that they desire in this lawsuit that a reminder
so at this point, I hope Nintendo loses.
They started in the first place. And as Screen Rant says here,
why is Big Palworld bullying the tiny developer Nintendo?
This could be the
Someone probably said that on Twitter.
This lawsuit with Nintendo losing big time. What could happen if Nintendo loses, you may be asking? It's kind of unclear. Obviously, there would be a massive payout in Pocket Pair's favor. I doubt Pocket Pair could, reverse Uno this and somehow get something as big as Pokemon deleted or delisted or anything. But what it can and could do is ruin Nintendo's reputation and that of the Pokemon brand, and force them to stop making slop that is barely good enough for sale.
This might be wishful thinking. I think like Nintendo is just like, just give us Pokemon, who cares?
For every new entry in their flagship series, and hopefully
they haven't been good in a long time, man. Like look at even the background of this.
Reasons. Because it's honestly frustrating how lazy Nintendo and Game Freak are with Pokemon.
They really could have made some bang in Pokemon games.
Have revolutionized and revitalized other franchises like Zelda over the years, or more recently with Donkey Kong Bonanza.
I still want to play this game. I've heard it's good.
Remains in this pathetic, good enough state to just barely meet the requirements for a new entry just to make millions every time a new game releases. What I truly hope is that if and when
I still love that the
Nintendo
random cat's name is like
lawsuit,
Spaghetti-O.
it stops them from being the bullies that they are to others so frequently.
What was like the last big Nintendo adult game? Maybe like Metroid Prime and Bayonetta?
When it comes to crushing freedom of development or expression in other games.
Pokemon's just mad that someone else made a better Pokemon game than them. They can go suck up, Nintendo should have had adult versions of Pokemon years ago with guns and maybe a bit more skin shown on the females. Yeah, I'm surprised they just still haven't done that.
When it comes to the corporatized side of the equation. And it still makes me
I would love like an actual adult, well-made Pokemon game.
Releasing games from companies with subpar performance.
Make like a Pokemon Online like MMO or something, dude. Like that makes so much money.
Look at Borderlands 4, which
like
is
adults.
coming to Switch 2, although a few weeks after its release. It's coming out in October for Switch 2. But the caveat here is that it will release at 30 frames per second. Oh joy. Another game that will play worse on Nintendo.
I will be honest, I didn't go play the last Pokemon games.
Hardware, by the way. But this is what's going on with Nintendo right now. If they're not trying to make everyone pay $80 American,
it's called Pokemon Go. They do probably make a lot of money on microtransactions, don't they?
$120 in Canada like me. They're throwing their entire bank accounts behind them to crush the little guys because they're being shown how lazy they are. When it comes to how poorly optimized the Pokemon
this guy just really doesn't like Nintendo. I'm not disagreeing though.
Lose millions of dollars and get the just desserts they so dearly need forever trying this in the future. And I hope that more Pokemon-like games exist in the future as well. If not for any other reason than to annoy Nintendo and make them lose even more money in lawsuits.
This guy really doesn't like Nintendo. I think I agree though. Like pretty much most things he said, I think Nintendo's always been a little bit on the harsher side, not really for the people, and definitely it seems like a bunch of people in suits. Although they kind of mask it being like, we make the video games for the children out there. Yeah, he did kind of seem like he rambled for us a little bit, but whatever, you know. But whatever, it's fine. He got his point out. But yeah, some people are now actually anti-Nintendo. Even Zapdos. What's going on, Zero? Even Zapdos, like, bro, like, yeah, I'm anti-Nintendo now. I think people have slowly gotten like woken up from the waves of Nintendo's tomfoolery. Yeah, I think they did have Bayonetta 3, which was maybe M. But I'm sure, yeah, teenagers probably their main goal for it. You can't get a Switch 2. I got mine. I haven't used it yet. Check like Targets and Walmarts and stuff in stores. I'm going to change my Twitch name to Red not Zapdos. Okay. We have Zapdos is really going in the protests of here. But that was kind of fun. I do agree with him. I think at the end of the day, Nintendo is kind of scheming and bullying young, like, smaller video games. I think it'd be very good if game mechanics are open for everyone. And I don't like the idea of like a certain game company having ownership of it. Like, I think it's kind of bad. So I think at the end of the day, I think that's fine. I kind of hope that Palworld wins. Like, I hope they win the lawsuit. I hope Nintendo loses because I do want to see more games, and I don't want Nintendo to kind of have this weird monster, like, capture fighting story kind of by itself. There's a few games we've seen out there that have, you know, mixed around and like had similar game concepts too, like Temtem or whatever. But nothing's really kind of hit Pokemon. So I'd like to see a company actually like fiercely try to go recreate it and make it good. So if they keep on trying to go and claim these game things or whatever, these game mechanics, it's going to probably ruin gaming as a whole. So I see why it's bad. Like, I understand. Like, I really hope they lose.